Hello, welcome back. This video will not make much sense to you unless you check out part 1, so I encourage you to check that out before you check this out. But for those of you who may not, this is a continuation of a short story that I wrote myself, and I'm going to present to you hopefully the rest of the story. So, hope you enjoy it. He had never known his real birth mother. She left before he was 1. The mother that he did grow up with never married his father, nor should she have. The father himself was abusive, often finding perverse delight in burning his mother's feet with matches, candles, anything with a flame. His drinking didn't help either. Brian was lucky to escape from the house when, at 13, he simply ran away after school rather than return home to the ever-growing nightmare. He was able to find shelter in an orphanage run by a group of Catholic nuns. It would be here that Brian decided to become a priest. At the age of 27, he was assigned to St. Anne's Parish in the lower East Bronx, and he set about his work in earnest. He enjoyed what he did. He felt that this was where God had wanted him to be. He rose to become the head priest of the church within 6 years. It was at this church when, on one particularly rainy Saturday, a man walked into the booth where Brian was giving confessions. The man, upon entering, asked him whether it was a sin to have not talked with your son for over 20 years. Brian replied that it was certainly not right. He should try to get in contact with him as soon as possible if he could, for penance. It was at this moment when the man revealed he was Brian's father. Brian froze and then said the one thing that would haunt him the rest of his life. He told his father to leave and that he never, ever wanted to see him again. His father just looked at him, with one single tear forming and then falling down his cheek. He turned around and walked out. It would be the last time Brian would ever see him. The next day, Brian was reading the newspaper, as he often did before beginning the duties for the day. On page 7, he found a short news article. Reading over Brian's shoulder would have revealed that after talking with Brian at confession, Brian's father had left the church, walked to an overpass, and would be found later dead. A bottle of Jack Daniels standing as if guarding his body next to him. Brian was never the same after that. He resigned from the priesthood later that week, telling the head of the church he was no longer worthy of the sacred robe. He never again held a job. He spent the rest of his years as a hermit, denying himself the pleasure of life in an attempt to atone for the sin that now ate him up inside. 12 years to the day after he had met his father for the last time, Brian died, alone, on the street corner. The lack of water killed him before his hunger. Brian slowed down to get a cup of water from one of the many stations set up, while I continued my fight to keep my body moving in the race. It was early evening, the sun gradually lowering in the sky. It was growing cooler, the wind rising steadily from the southwest. I found my second wind, and as I began anew, the specter of an older woman, white-haired, appeared before me. Her name was Mary. Her story was unremarkable. She was born to middle-class parents, grew up like any normal child. She was a dentist right out of college, and remained at that position until she retired. She married her college sweetheart at the age of 22 and moved to Boulder, Colorado. Never trying to forego the status quo, she was perfectly content to live her life as it was, plainly. At the age of 87, she died of natural causes, just as she would have liked. Mary began to slow down considerably, though you could not tell from the expression on her face. She looked perfectly calm as she ran. I passed her rather quickly. The sun had set into the horizon, betraying the night. Above, clouds began to form, leaving the surroundings dark as soot. The finish was before me, but I did not wish to see it. There are no winners in this marathon. We must all finish, however, for there is no other option available to us. No matter who we are, what we do, or how we're like, the race's end comes to each and every one of us. The stories are different, but the ending remains the same. It was only a matter of time before the darkness would claim me for its own. Many runners had finished before me. Still others had a long way to go. The only thing I could do was continue to run, driving myself as far as I could into the coming night. The race isn't over for me yet. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this little story. Please let me know what you think of it, whether you thought it was good or it was bad. I encourage any compliments or criticisms you may have. Thank you. Bye.